it's kind of scary to stand out here in Japan. You don't want to break the rules as much as possible. We can say like Pinoy. My mom wants us to have both cultures on us. And I think that was a greatest decision I made in my life to go back in the Philippines. In the Philippines, it's hard to earn a lot of money, especially if you're just starting. The entry level salary there is like $300 a month.
Hey there, and thank you for tuning in. We're excited to bring you another great conversation today. If you like the show and want to support us, please hit the subscribe button so we can keep bringing you great content week after week. And if you're feeling extra generous, give this video a like and share your thoughts and comments down below. Thank you so much. And now, let's get into it. Welcome to Unpacking Japan. I'm Toby, and today we welcome Mickael. Thank you so much for coming. You're actually born and raised here in Osaka, but you have a family background from the Philippines as well. Today you're a content creator, but that's not really how you started your journey here. Yes. And so I'm a little bit curious about your background, and maybe you can start telling us about how it was like for you growing up here in Osaka as a Filipino Japanese. Is there a word for this?
Yeah, we just call it like Hafu. Yeah.
Just Hafu in general, but no specific word for Filipino Japanese?
Oh, we can say like Pinoy.
Pinoy.
Yeah, that's what Filipino calls it. It's like just Pinoy. Just combine it together. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you grew up here in Osaka.
Yes.
But went frequently to the Philippines. Yeah. So you have this like double identity.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Osaka, but in between that, my parents brought us. We are like 5 siblings.
Wow.
And they brought us like to the Philippines every now and then, probably like every year, every summer vacation. And yeah, I spent my from kindergarten to until last year of my high school.
And eventually you decided like to leave Japan actually, and you went to live overseas and you did your studies in the Philippines. Why did you decide to kind of go down that path?
Actually, I've been discussing it with my mom since when you're in a high school, you kind of like talk about more on the financial side. We're like 5 siblings. Of course, it's just 2 of my parents. We're not like the most well-off family in the world, so my mom was like, do you want to study in the Philippines? Because it was much affordable, budget-friendly compared to Japan, whereas a lot of students like, get a student loan or they work a lot of part-time jobs just to compensate for the tuition. My mom was like, why not try Philippines? And, just try living there. Because my mom wants us to have both cultures on us. And I think that was a greatest decision I made in my life to go back in the Philippines.
I'm curious what it's like to kind of have this dual culture, but here in Japan, and then actually to live in the Philippines, but having this like reverse half of background.
Yeah.
So how was it for you when, you grew up going to the Philippines all the time and now you finally live there, but you have that Japanese identity as well?
Yeah, at first it was like, how do you say that? I was worried, like when I go to the Philippines, it might not work or it might not, it might. Because I never lived there like for a very long time, but of course I want my mom to like not spend a lot of money with my college, and second, I don't know, I just felt like I had to like live in the Philippines and know more about where I came from. And
did you have some kind of reverse culture shock of going there and be surprised by things?
Oh yeah, when I went to the school. Because when I live in the Philippines, before I go there, I wasn't speaking Filipino that good. So I even bought I even tell this to my Filipino friends, I bought like a Filipino dictionary.
Okay.
And I just studying some words, which is some words that aren't even used on a daily basis. I went to the Philippines, and in the school, they speak a lot of English. There's even like a time we can't speak Filipino.
Really?
We can only speak Filipino on the Filipino language, because it was like a private school. So they're trying to like maintain that high standard of the students. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like when I was in Japan, I was pretty introverted because, in Japan, a lot of people are reserved. You don't want to break the rules as much as possible. I want to follow the rules and not mess up anything. So
you don't want to be the nail that sticks out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or what's the saying again? Like
the nail that sticks out gets hammered down.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So it's kind of scary to stand out here in Japan. Of course, when you were young. But in the Philippines, I noticed that everyone is like welcoming and warm, the community there. Naturally, I became extrovert there. So I think me moving the Philippines made me extrovert, and that was part of my good character development.
And then eventually you do your studies there for a few years, and you still decide to come back to Japan.
Yeah.
Why did you have this change of character? You become extrovert, you discover something new, but you want to come back here.
I see. That's a good question. First of all, like, the main thing is like on the financial side in the Philippines, it's hard to earn a lot of money, especially if you're just starting. Like, I remember I actually graduated as a medical technologist in the Philippines. But the entry level salary there is like $300 a month. But I can just work in a McDonald's here and is it okay to say that?
Yeah.
But I can just work in McDonald's here and earn more than $300 in a month. So I was like, But during that phase, I considered like transitioning to a medical technologist here in Japan. But on the last year of my college, that's when I started doing content creation. And yeah, to be honest, I realized it was paying a lot, like social media. I noticed that the money is in the social media. As I grow up, instead of like focusing on my, like, how do you say that? Because originally I wanted to be a medical technologist, right? But the more I grew up, the more I became practical. And that's where I fell in love with content creation, because you can scale it. Yeah.
So it applies more to today's society than maybe being in a lab and kind of working on the machinery used by doctors and so on.
And also I wanted to help a lot of people. That's why I took that course. But I realized that I can help people in different ways. And by utilizing social media, I can help a lot of people. And like, not a few effort, but compared to working in a lab, I mean, it's a different kind of helping people, but since I can reach a lot of people through social media, I told myself maybe I can help people with this tool.
We're going to talk about what you do on social media later, because you have nearly 1 million followers by now. So you have a big community of people that are enjoying the content you do and the advice and information you share. But when you came back, you said kind of also related to financial reasons. And that's interesting because we've had some Filipino guests as well before on the podcast. And the story is the same, right? The monthly salaries in the Philippines are very low and the opportunities seem pretty good in Japan. Yeah. But when you came to Japan, you didn't directly just go full-time content creation, right? You started working at the company.
Yeah.
What kind of job did you do then if you moved away from the medical technology field?
Before I graduated college, let's say in the middle of the college, I stopped school for a year and came back to Japan to work as a construction worker for 1 year. If you know scaffolding. Yeah. And I came back again to the Philippines. And when I graduated, I applied for like, because it was COVID, there wasn't any job that much. And my parents got laid off from work. My mom was like, we don't have money. I was like, I'm gonna do any jobs that is possible. So I applied to like restaurant. I applied to like call centers, and what else? Caregiving, hotel, like housekeeping. I even did that during 2021. But eventually, that's where I found the marketing agency. It was a startup company. And yeah, that's where since it was also COVID, they were looking for people who are not an expert on the technical side, but who are experienced with social media. And since I was like doing social media already, they just hired me. Yeah, they just hired me real quick.
You said you worked for 1 year in the construction sites.
Yeah.
I'm quite curious. Is it like how I imagine, like the group of people working on these big like high-rise buildings with all the bells and so on? Yeah. Can you tell me about that experience? What's it like to work on this kind of construction work? I see them every day in the morning. There's always like big meeting and everyone has to get ready, and then there's like a goal sign, and then everyone goes to there.
Yeah, like I was not like on the lowest ranking of the company, so I'm always like the person who carries the heavy things. But basically, we just raise the we call it ashiba, so that people can walk. How do you say that? It's pretty difficult being
basically the ground floor. You make it even so that the construction can kind of start there.
Yeah. We just make a scaffolding so people can walk around the building. They keep raising that building. Sometimes some companies just want to paint the building, so we build that scaffolding. But on other cases, there's like a construction of building. That's why they need the scaffolding. Let's say we put second floor. The building is still on the first floor, but the scaffolding is already on the second floor. And if it's on the second floor, we build it to the third floor, something like that.
Oh, so you don't necessarily work directly on the building, but specifically just the scaffolding around the building.
Oh yeah, it's a different department. So
Oh,
they just communicate, like they just call a scaffolding department. I mean, company. They just ask like, can you like, I mean, I haven't gone to the contract base, but that's generally the idea of scaffolding.
you said that you were the lowest ranking, so you had to carry the heavy things. How is the structure in there when you work? How many people work there, and what kind of hierarchy do you have?
Our company, I mean, the company that I went to, it's not really a big company. There's only like 10 people. It was like 2017. It was 2017. So, I mean, there's like, of course, the experience and the beginners. So the experienced one just tell the newcomers to just keep bringing the equipment, put it off from the truck and bring it here and there, because it's just a bunch of like carrying things and building it up. It was really exhausting.
I can imagine, and probably very long hours too, right?
Yeah.
So that was not really what you wanted to do. You were like, I'm gonna go more content creation. And then you eventually, a few years later, started working for that marketing agency.
Yeah.
You did a video kind of jokingly a few years ago on your YouTube channel where you talk about a day in life of corporate slave. What was that experience for you? Kind of knowing already social media is kind of what you want to do. You don't want to be in the office, but you still sit in the office all day.
I mean, I was just actually joking on the corporate slave, but I kind of like the job because considering experience working in a hotel, like cleaning beds, it was actually a rabuho.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When I was actually 18 that time, I experienced a lot of like manual labors. So I kind of appreciated when I started working in an office job, like everything is just clean. I don't need to do hard labors. So yeah, when I say the corporate slave, when I think about, oh, my job here in office is difficult because I have to think a lot, I still look back and my experience, like, oh, this is still better than what I've been through.
I can imagine it's better than cleaning beds at the Love Hotel.
Yeah, it was tough. And carrying metals. I don't know. And yeah.
So when was the time that you decided to go full-time on content creation?
It was actually this year though. Because if you're a content creator, I'm pretty sure like you're familiar with how like content creator earn money. I started like content creation in 2021, but during 2021, 2022, I haven't earned anything. Even though I had like almost 1 million followers on TikTok and Facebook, Instagram altogether, and YouTube, I wasn't earning anything. Because I think that was just the phase that a lot of marketing agencies started partnering with content creator, because brand before didn't like partnering with content creators because they wanted to do traditional like marketing. But ever since the COVID, like brands started partnering with a lot of content creators. So that's when they started paying 2023. That was the peak of money in content creation. And yeah, during 2023, I was having a partnership here and there, but it was pretty unstable because even though we have 3 months contract, 6 months contract, you will never know if they'll still renew it. What else? Sometime there's like a project that pays like 1 million for one video, but it's not like an everyday thing. We'll never know if it's gonna happen next month again. But during last year, during that process, I learned a lot of things like negotiating with brands, like outreaching. I don't have to just wait for myself to get reached out by a company. I can just offer something. And I applied it this year. I think I'm not expert when it comes to business, but I kind of learned how to create jobs. Basically, on the content creation side, I was like, oh, this can be a business. So, this year, I learned how to like create maybe like contracts. like creating new jobs, creating new brands. And even off the content creation side, I'm like partnering with other businesses as a freelancer. I'm like outreaching to clients and partnering basically with brands.
So you used to do the content and you had some branch reach out and some opportunity to kind of earn money with your content creation. And then this year you kind of use that experience to turn it into kind of a business where you're basically self-employed and you have your own company and you can run this as a business and offer your platform working with brands and so on. Do you feel like sometimes maybe there's this misconception like content creators are just getting paid constantly and a lot of money and but it's actually you have to run a business and you have to do partnerships, sign contracts and so on?
I mean, I can say that I have a lot of friends who are like consistently gaining millions of views, either YouTube or Facebook. I can say that they're just earning money. It's like a money printer, because I saw it myself. They're just making videos that's like pretty normal, but since a lot of people likes them, it's just gaining a lot of views. So it applies to some people that are like doing very well in social media, but not every social media platform pays per views. So they actually rely on brand deals. Yeah.
But you went originally into content creation, you said, during your study years.
Yeah.
And you kind of realized, I can use content creation to help people.
Yeah.
So what was the kind of content you set out to do? You were like, if I do this kind of content, that will be helpful for people.
I see. It was a funny story because during 2021, I think not 2020, I think like TikTok is kind of like frowned upon because it's just a dancing app. A lot of girls are like, and guys are like creating these funny videos. But during 2021, when it was COVID, I was in the Philippines. It was my last year of college. And I just noticed some videos. It was like early 2021. It's becoming like educational videos. I see some guy teaching Japanese. I was like, I can do that. I can do even better than that. It was an American guy. And he was teaching like a Japanese word. He was like, this is how you say things in Japanese. I created a Filipino version of that because I don't see any educational videos in the Philippines that's just teaching language. I tried to do that. And after 2 weeks of posting that, it just went hundreds of thousands of videos per post. I was like, wow, I'm just teaching a word and it's gaining a lot of videos. And that's where I try to expand to teaching words, teaching culture, and tips on how to live in Japan and my experience. That's also my motivation that I came back to Japan because I need to create more contents. I'm running out of ideas, so I actually have to be here. That's why if you saw my video on YouTube, I created a video that I went from Philippines to Japan during COVID. Yeah.
Because that's something that's unique about you. You're half Japanese, half Filipino. Yeah. And while there are others out there, there's not that many content creators that can bridge those two cultures, right?
Yeah.
So you come back to Japan and you start making all of this content about Japan for Filipino audience mainly, right?
Yeah.
What kind of content do you see besides the language has like the most response for you and the most engagement where people get very curious?
That was basically probably my personal experience in Japan. Because I started like TikTok. Of course, I had fun making it, but along the way, I kind of like enjoy when I'm having the feedback from people that they're either commenting, DMing me saying that, oh, thank you for teaching. Can you please keep doing it? It really motivates me. And some people even send me a long message on the DM saying that I was just watching your video last year, but because of you, I went here to Japan. And I'm really thankful. And yeah, I'm just trying to help people as much as possible.
There are quite a big amount of Filipino that want to come to Japan, right? And as we talked, and you mentioned as well, financial reasons are one of the most important ones. What are some of the biggest challenges for Filipinos to come to Japan when they try to actually get here?
Probably like the visa. That's gonna be tough because Philippines is a developing country. And they're very strict with visas. So even though a lot of people, let's say if I'm creating videos about jobs, so I'm kind of familiar with the process. People want to become like OFW, like overseas Filipino workers, but the process is pretty tough. If you want, even it's not just you can just come in Japan and be an OFW. Of course, you need money, upfront money. You need to pay for your Japanese language school. You need to pay for visa process. You need to have like a show money that you can live in Japan. It's gonna cost hundreds of thousands of pesos. And when I told you earlier, not a lot of Filipinos earn a lot of money, especially a lot of Filipinos who wants to live in Japan are the ones who has a family and wants to have a better life. But how can one Filipinos go to Japan when there's so many process and upfront money they need while trying to feed their family? I think that's like the most difficult part.
So it's like a big burden to take on and to really a big investment to decide to come to Japan and make it worth it.
Yeah, because like if you're like a father in the Philippines, you're taking care of your wife and your kids, and but you also have to go to the Japanese language school. You have to show 100,000 pesos to an agency. It's like a show money. It's gonna be really difficult.
Are things changing a little bit? Do you notice changes? Because you're making content that is informing people, okay, this is how you can go through the process. This is how you can get the visa if you go through this agency. Do you notice any changes in the last few years on that side?
The least I can do is bring awareness and teach people how to do stuff, the process, but I cannot like help them directly. So for me, I'm helping them through awareness, but I think that's the least I can do really. I cannot like, because even though I fire for a certain agency, which is a trustworthy agency, but they're gonna still have conditions on how to get to Japan, and they just always end there. Yeah.
So creating helpful content for Filipinos to inform them about life in Japan, the challenges in Japan, visa processes is kind of what you do mainly.
Yeah.
Do you notice big trends changing also for the Filipino community in terms of the content they're interested related to Japan? Is it shifting towards more travel things? Because if I'm thinking about like let's say Western content creators, most of the content is about either language or traveling in Japan.
Yeah.
Right? Is this also happening in content with the Filipino audience or not so much?
Yeah, it is happening. If like especially like trends are fast paced. To be honest, I cannot like how to say that, cope up with the how rapidly these trends are going. Sometimes I try to adapt trends, but I try to not go away from my original contents. And because people keep saying that join the trend, some of my content creators friends just keep joining the trend where they lose their original contents, and I'm trying not to get there as much as possible. So basically, I'm just trying to focus on my personal experience here in Japan and try to be authentic, like what I like my life in Japan as a Filipino and what I do here, and yeah, whether it is travel, work, apartments.
Do you have any content you enjoy doing the most?
That's probably like travel, because I wanna travel a lot of places in Japan, which I haven't done before. So yeah, when a lot of people are requesting, can you go to this place and here and there, because they want to see Japan through my videos. So when they enjoy it, I really appreciate it. Sometimes they request, can you go to this type of restaurant? Can you go in this place? I just go there to make videos, and they really appreciate it.
So for you, it's like an endless source of video ideas, right?
Yeah, sometimes when I lose ideas, I just ask people. I just post a story sometimes and put a question like, what's for next content? Or on Facebook, I can just post like text post. I can just say that, oh, what should we do next? And they're gonna suggest that, oh, can you go to this restaurant? Can you do more job contents? Something like that.
You mentioned Facebook, and I think that's something interesting because in Western countries, Facebook has kind of maybe lost some attraction. The younger generation is now mostly moving towards TikTok or also Instagram. But in the Philippines, you were telling me that Facebook is still really, really big.
Yeah.
Why do you think in the Philippines Facebook is still that big and used so actively?
Because like I grew up like even when I was like on a elementary school, everyone had Facebook on my age, and even my grandma has a Facebook page. So it's like in a culture, everyone like it's not a must, but it's like if you don't have Facebook, what are you doing? Kind of like situation. So I don't think there's like specific reason. It's just we grew up with Facebook. Yeah.
Interesting, because in some countries it grows out of fashion, and then here in the Philippines it kind of stays.
But if we're talking about like the age of users, probably most of them are like, I mean, a lot of them are like on the older generation. Of course, most Filipinos use Facebook, but on the statistics, it's more of older people. But the younger generation probably prefer more Instagram and TikTok. Yeah.
Now that you have been doing content mostly in Tagalog, have you ever considered doing content in Japanese or in English as well for different audiences? Or is there a reason you decided I'm going to do content for the people in the Philippines?
Yeah, that's a difficult part. Before I considered that, but I realized I started my videos with Tagalog, and how do you say that? Speaking Tagalog and making videos in Tagalog, to be honest, it is less competitive because there's a lot of English speaking content creators now. What makes me different to them is I'll just make Filipino videos, and on Instagram I'm trying to like create an English version so I can reach more people, because on Instagram that's where I'm trying to reach more people who are non-Filipinos. But on my TikTok and Facebook, I mainly use Filipinos because that's how I grew the account.
A few months ago we had the pleasure to talk to Jana Lu about her experience here working as a machinist in a factory, and you said you know her. And when she was here, she was talking about this Pinoy vlogger community. Is it still very active today? The group of basically Filipino vloggers here in Japan that are kind of.
I mean, yeah. To be honest, I haven't heard them recently. There was in Tokyo. There's a lot of content creators there, or we call them vloggers. But in Osaka, there's not much. Most of them are like in Tokyo.
All based in Tokyo.
But this. What do you call it again?
They call them Pinoy vloggers, right?
Yeah, the Pinoy vlogger. Yeah. I think since the last time I heard them was like last year. They were having this gatherings always, like trying to help each other for small creators to one of the like big content creators. They're just gathering as a Filipino community and helping each other. But personally, I haven't joined them because I'm living in Osaka.
They help each other when they're here in Japan, and a lot of the content you've been doing is to kind of provide information for people kind of planning to move here, wanting to come here. What have you seen are the biggest challenges for Filipinos once they arrive here in Japan, and that you get questions from people living here and they have to figure out how to do this or that?
I always tell this to people, like when you move to Japan, like try to adapt their culture, speak the language. Because the main problem with Filipinos, I always tell this to them, I always create videos about this. When they come to Japan, they always hang out with Filipinos. They don't mingle with Japanese people, even though they have the opportunity to interact with Japanese people. They prefer not to. I know some Filipinos who's been in Osaka for 20 years, but they can't even speak Japanese.
20 years.
20 years. Because they're not. Oh, that was the person that I used to work before. And I just realized how come she's not speaking Japanese that well, because she's not trying to learn. She always like put herself in a Filipino community. So I tell the people, try to, even though it's not comfortable, try to mingle with like a lot of Japanese people as much as possible. Go to an event, go to like seminars. Just make friends, basically. Social media, you can see where's the event happening, or go to like a language school. Try to learn a lot of things as much as possible, because that's where you're having an advantage.
It's interesting because I think that problem and that advice is not only relevant for Filipinos, but most foreigners kind of stick to a foreign community, right? Bond very tightly and so on. How has switching to content creation, especially now full-time, changed your life here in Japan? Oh yeah,
it's just freedom. It's like I escaped a 9 to 5 job. I always mess this with my friend, but I was like, bro, we escaped like that 9 to 5. But basically, it gives me more freedom and more flexibility. But of course, there's like this scary part of being freelancer because it's all on your own. You gotta take all the bills, the tax, the clients. It's not like you're just gonna go in the office and they're gonna pay you even though you didn't do any work. But it has some advantage and disadvantages. But yeah, like ever since I started full time being a content creator and also like freelancer, partnering with my friends' marketing agencies up to now, it's like bringing me a lot of like how to say that, different perspective on the business side. I was like, oh, this is not no. Um, it's like I'm seeing more opportunities becoming more freelancers because I have to rely on myself. If I didn't do my best, I'm gonna be hungry.
Do you see a lot of people also asking you about how to become a content creator and how?
Oh yeah. I always tell them, but of course it's much different when I started during like 2021. I feel like I kind of penetrated the social media space because I entered the I entered social media when it was in the prime year.
When things were growing very fast.
Yeah, 2021. There was like a time that I just posted one video and it grew up to 100,000 followers in one video. I was like, wow. But if you do that these days, it's not gonna happen anymore because it's pretty saturated, the market. There's so many content creators these days. The only difference is if you're creating authentic videos. Yeah.
So the only way, from your experience, to grow today is to create kind of authentic content that really resonates with people.
Yeah, like really authentic, that makes you stand out, and it's becoming harder and harder.
So do you recommend them to try to be a content creator, or is it something you would say people should be maybe doing more research and not assume it's such an easy?
I mean, I feel like every time is always like a good opportunity to start. It's better to start than never. But of course, always do all your research because I even like did a lot of research before I started content creating. I watched like a lot of tutorials, what to do and what not to do on YouTube before I started actually creating videos on TikTok. And yeah, if someone asks me like how to start content creation, or is it still okay to start building your career as a content creator, of course, there's never too late.
You mentioned that you realize you have to start learning how to file your taxes by yourself and sign contracts and negotiate business deals.
Yeah.
What was some of the most challenging for you?
Oh yeah, trying to do everything by yourself. I was trying to make videos, plan my videos, do my tax, like manage all my finances, manage the clients. It was overwhelming. That's why I'm everyday burnout. But I realized I can just outsource. Maybe like I can pay a tax accountant and do all my taxes. And I can hire I have a sibling and I can just ask him, can you manage my other like content ideas? Basically just try to like, don't be cheap and just use your money to reinvest to your business and try to outsource people. And yeah, it will help you on your business and not burn out yourself.
What's your general process now? Like you post regularly.
Yeah.
So how do you come up with ideas? How do you plan the videos? How long does it take to make a video and get it ready?
Of course, first I observe trends and I see what's happening these days. And try to like watch my previous videos on what's working and what's not. And recently I've been creating a lot of vlog types on my TikTok and that's been working, so I keep doing it. On editing, I do everything on my own because it's hard to outsource people because they'll never understand how you see things on your perspective because you're the only one who take the videos. They'll never know what do you think is funny and what's not. What do you think should be emphasized? So I'm the one who's doing all the videos, but basically, the video only takes like a few hours because I'm not creating that crazy kind of videos these days, but I'm trying to do that in the future because I'm not like having a big team, but I'm doing it step by step. As of now, I'm trying to make simple videos, as you see on my TikTok videos.
You were saying just before we started recording that you do everything on the phone.
Yeah.
And that even nowadays some big content creators in the Filipino content creator community with millions of followers also still do everything just on the phone, whereas others maybe start buying these big cameras and all of these things. But for you, it's easier on the phone.
Yeah, for me, it's easier on the phone. And yeah, the reason I also keep staying at the phone, before I thought I should upgrade everything to something really expensive, buy expensive camera. But I realized even my friends who are like so big, 10 million followers, or let's say 30 million followers in total, they're still using iPhone because that's what they've been using. They don't want to suddenly change the format of their video, like the style of their video, because why should you change a video when it's doing so good? So even I thought like that makes sense. Why should I just change it when it's already doing good? And Filipino people likes, of course, like buying expensive gear is good, but when something is working already, I might stick to it.
Earlier in our conversation, you said that you were pretty introverted growing up here, and you kind of opened up when studying in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Do you think this is something that really helped you with getting started on content creation as well?
Yeah, I don't think you can do content creation as an introvert. Possibly you can do it because some content creators just stay at their room, create videos, but really not good at social interaction. But for me, my content really needed a lot of like social interaction, and really becoming extrovert really helps with content creation. Content creation, or else I wouldn't be able to interview people on the streets, which what I used to do, or I won't be able to take videos outside when I worry too much about like putting people on the frame or talking to people. So yeah, being extroverted has their advantage.
Do you feel like growing up like half Japanese, half Filipino has given you some cultural insights that you're now using into the content creation as well?
Yeah, I see, like growing up as a Filipino Japanese and living in both countries, I kind of like see like diverse culture. I kind of see it like through two lenses. Like on the Japanese side, it's more of like a discipline and tradition, while in the Philippines, it's more of like a warmth and community. So I kind of have this idea on how can I adjust myself, and being able to distinguish those two culture, I think it has really an advantage.
Maybe that was a challenge for you growing up here in Japan, with having these two completely different cultures, right? Filipino, very warm, community-oriented, and extroverted in Japanese. How did you deal with that?
When I was in the Philippines, people like see me as having more of like the Japanese culture, because I'm always on time. But let's say whenever we hang out, I always like go before the time. Let's say we're gonna come here 3 p.m. But a lot of Filipinos are relaxed. A lot of Filipino people are relaxed. They don't go on time. Majority. I can say this to social media because they actually don't go to a certain place on time, unless it's like a very important meeting or it's like work related. But it's just a casual meeting a friend. There's a thing we call like Filipino time. Maybe you heard about it?
No, but I can guess what it is.
And Filipino time, it's basically like if you set a time, people are gonna come an hour late.
An hour.
And that's not good for business. And even for friendship, I don't like when my friends are really, really late. They say they're gonna come 3 p.m. and I went there at 3 p.m. They're gonna come like 4 p.m. So they keep saying, "Why are you always on time? You're really Japanese." You said 3. I'm gonna come here by 3. So so basically in the Philippines, I think the main thing people saw me, what the difference, like having both culture, basically the time.
And in Japan?
And in Japan, this is difficult in Japan. It's because it's much. We're talking about the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Philippines, it's easy to apply the Japanese culture, but in Japan it's hard to apply it because I'll probably basically like the warm side of the Filipino people. I think that's what I usually apply on Japan. I mean, in Japan, because a lot of Japanese are kind of like reserved, and a lot of them they don't initiate in social interaction. A lot of them, so it's always like when there's like a social interaction, I'm the one who's having to initiate like conversation and try to be friends. Like just showing like the Filipino culture, maybe.
I'm always curious because I've been to the Philippines once, and it's a great country and also has great food.
Yeah,
Where can you eat good Filipino food here in Osaka?
there's none.
Really?
There's none. There is I mean, I can say this because I've been to a lot, and I mean, sorry if some shops here in Osaka are watching me, but there's not really an authentic Filipino restaurant. There's a lot in Tokyo though, but I know a few in Osaka. It's not really.
Why do you think we see Thai restaurants, Vietnamese restaurants, Chinese restaurants in many places, but not Filipino food?
Oh, that's a good question. Because not a lot of Filipino people are like business minded. They're more of like a working minded. Let's say in the Philippines, a lot of businesses there are like owned by Chinese people. Because Filipino are like grew up. It's gonna be controversial, but a lot of Filipino are like conditioned to study hard, get a job, and you'll get paid. And not a lot of Filipinos learn how to like create a business. So that's why a lot of Filipinos are dreaming to come to Japan to work. And not a lot of them are thinking, oh, I should go to Japan to build a business. That's why you don't see a lot of businesses. I mean, there are a few, but not a lot.
Is this something that could be a content opportunity for you to kind of share the process of setting up business in Japan or business ideas?
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be a great like topic. I never thought of that before, but yeah, I can do that.
You also had a realization about the cultural differences growing up and traveling to both countries, and then you're like, oh, this is possible and that is possible. So maybe if you kind of show them the opportunities that are here to start businesses as well, maybe there will be a lot of interesting Filipino startups in the area or restaurants or whatever.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because I was wondering too why there's not much Filipino restaurant in Osaka because I crave a lot. But yeah, that's gonna be a good topic to teach a lot of Filipinos how to build. What is the process of like building maybe Kozinzigo or Kabushiki Gaisha here?
With where you are now, 1 year into kind of doing this full time with a business and running things, where do you want to take this moving forward? You said it's a very saturated market now. Things are changing. There's a lot of content creators. So what are your plans now?
Probably like I wanna on the content creator side, I wanna keep growing it because I see that content creation is gonna be more and more in demand in the future because everyone is on their phone, social media is booming, and I think it's gonna be a big business. It's gonna be even a bigger business in the future. But I also thought that maybe I want to do like a marketing agency, like probably like influencer marketing agency, but it's gonna be on another topic for another day. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
For Filipino content creators?
Yeah, for Filipino content creators, maybe like partnering with Japanese brand, something like that. I want to be like the bridge between them. So
that's interesting. You've been basically building that bridge already now for a few years with your content creation and so on. What do you think is required to build the stronger bridge between Filipinos and Japanese?
Probably like I don't see any agencies doing that. Since I have a lot of like connections to the Philippines, I know a lot of like content creators there. I know a lot of like managers who are very familiar with the industry. I can like connect them together because I've also have connections here that looking for more creators. They're trying to expand their businesses with foreigner content creators. So I'm trying to look around that area.
With all your experience now bridging both cultures, Filipino and Japanese, what will be a message you want to share with Filipinos that are kind of here in Japan or planning to come to Japan if they're looking to succeed here?
Probably in Japan, I mean, I'm not the most successful person in Japan, or like I'm nowhere near there yet. But what I tell to a lot of people is when they ask me how to do well, how to do better, I just keep telling them, just do what makes you uncomfortable. If you're in Japan and you cannot speak if you cannot speak Japanese, just learn Japanese. And a lot of Filipinos are actually feeling homesick here in Japan when they started working because they're far away from their hometown. So I look at the main reason, because they can speak Japanese. Of course, you will be homesick in a country where you can speak and interact with people. So I tell them, why don't you learn to start speaking Japanese first and interact with people and see where it goes, and probably go to an event, because a lot of Filipinos in Japan just like go to work, stay at home, doesn't interact with people or try to explore Japan more. So maybe like if you're in Japan and you want to succeed, it's not an overnight process to build yourself up. So you gotta keep showing up like everywhere and see more opportunities and try to learn every day.
I think that's pretty good advice. Break the wall, make yourself uncomfortable, learn Japanese, and make a community here outside of your comfort zone.
Because a lot of times, I think the most of the time that I feel lazy to go to an event, that's where I found the opportunity that I was looking for. So you'll never know where it's gonna happen. Maybe there's a day, maybe you go to an event and it might change your life. You go to a meeting, even though you don't see any potential in that, but you tried it nevertheless. You'll never know. Maybe that meeting can change your life. I mean, I went to, that's why I'm also like trying to show up as much as possible to every invitation. But of course, it depends on what's the invitation, but I'm trying to like network with a lot of people and also give value to them.
Thank you, Mickael, to share your journey. Do you think we covered it pretty well? Do you feel like there's something that you wanted to share today that we didn't talk about?
I think that was good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for making time and coming on the podcast. Yeah. I hope that your community is also interested in hearing your story. For me, it was certainly interesting to kind of hear this difference between the Philippines in Japan and kind of your mixed upbringing and cultural bridging that you're doing here. Yeah. And I'm very much looking forward to see you build that agency and build the bridge between both countries.
Thanks so much.
Thank you everyone for listening and watching. This was Unpacking Japan, and we'll be back again next week. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future conversations. And we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this episode, here are a couple more that we think you'll enjoy. Thanks again for your support, and we'll see you next time.